We came so far from dreams. The path was hard for me. They thought we fall, you see. Well, look at us now, look at us now. We make it hot when we on the scene. Yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team. Yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around. You know that I roll with some kings. We shit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we. Tell me who better than we. We soaring to places you never could reach. When we walk in that spot, don't hear none of you speak. Shh, do you want peace or the peace? A king about to put you to sleep. Listen, my team is elite. You not even qualified to compete. He starving, he barely can eat. I guess that's why he always itching for beef. So I put him on ice and I told him to chill. Close your mouth if you can't pay for the meal. Making statements that you know you don't mean. Nice guy trying to act like he mean. Keep it a buck, keep it a bean. Attitudes will put you dudes in the beam. Isekai, he don't live in reality. Shake back off, become a fatality. Yeah, how you gon' hate when you mirror us? He think he a star, he ain't serious. X him out, we not on the same frequency. If you broke, you ain't hearing us. Work the screw, anime, that's how I feel, period. We winning, that's making them furious. We make it high when we on the scene, yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team, yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around, you know that I roll with some kings. We shit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we.
Yo, what it do, guys? It is your boy, Leon Mookie here, and you know what day it is. It's Ichigo and Izuku's birthday once again. So that means it's What If Izuku and Ichigo Were Brothers? This is part 4, and man, I'm going pretty damn far and only gotten somewhat close enough with this What If series, honestly. I might just turn it into a full-on series after a while. Probably after this part, I'll make it a full-on monthly to weekly series after all. And basically just do that of one-shots from now on for Izuku's birthday after all. So yeah. And right, so let's go with that of a pretty necessary and well-needed recap. In the last part, we went over on how Izuku and Ichigo go to that of their mother's grave alongside that of their family members. However, on the way to the grave, a lot of, inconvenience and quite traumatizing things happen. Like, for example, the fact that Soul Society is starting to, be suspicious of Rukia staying in the world of the living by sending a member of the Stealth Corps after her, and in return, Ichigo and Izuku. And not to mention the hollow that ended up killing that of their mother, Misaki, known as Grand Fisher, as it does nothing but basically taunt, torture, and basically torment both Izuku, Ichigo, and the rest of their family, with Izuku being overwhelmed with his powerlessness, feeling not having the power of a Soul Reaper like Ichigo, feeling useless in situations like this, especially not being able to avenge his mother as well. However, that may change in the future. All that time will tell. So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? Also, a bit of a heads up, I'm speeding through the Don Komochi episode. The entire episode was kind of pointless after all, so yeah. And we can get to that of the good stuff. So yeah, a couple days after that of, paying their respects to that of his mom, to their mother, and also with Grand Fisher, that turns out that of, Spirit Hunters is doing a live performance. Of course, Ichigo is not the biggest fan. Izuku's not a big fan either, but he does enjoy watching the show with that of, Yuzu and also their dad occasionally. Just see it as, family bonding time, actually. With everybody in Karakura Town basically so excited to basically meet that of the great Don Kanoji, of course. At first, both Ichigo and Izuku didn't really think the guy was just a fraud and just doing this all for publicity and all that. Unfortunately, turns out the fact that the guy actually can see that of spirits. And even finding out at the abandoned hospital of Karakura Town, there's a, spirit dwelling in the place, basically making its territory known as a Jibakurai, actually. A spirit ended up becoming a hollow, but unlike that of the usual hollows that are devoured by that of stronger hollows and turned into one, Jibai Kudai are basically spirits that will take basically months to turn to hollows, given that they're bound to that of one territory or a place after all. Unfortunately, Don Kanoji didn't care and basically began to screw with that of the spirit after all. Which, of course, Ichigo basically running in to stop it. Hell, even Izuku actually tagged in too, not wanting the, spirit to turn into a hollow either. Of course, both of them being basically dragged by security. But thankfully, Kisuke was around to allow Ichigo to basically go into his, Soul Reaper form. But unfortunately, Izuku is still being trapped by that of security. And not to mention with that of, Ichigo's passed out body too. Throughout this entire event, it was basically Ichigo and Don Kamoji basically fighting to see on who gets to the hollow first after all. However, Ichigo wasn't going to have that. Especially the fact that, he's trying his best to make sure that the civilians don't get caught up into the fighting. Not to mention, Ichigo sucked while fighting in that of the narrow corridors of the hospital due to his Zanpakuto being too damn overly large. But of course, thankfully enough, they were able to take care of it easily. But Ichigo also informed that of Don Kamoji that the so-called, spirit that he sent to heaven earlier was the same hollow that Ichigo had to basically defeat. Informing him that messing with spirits like that can basically turn them into hollows. With Don Kamoji now understanding this, and now deciding to see things in a more different outlook when he basically tries to exercise and help out spirits in the future. And even hoping Ichigo will help out too. Even calling him his #1 fan. And thus, everything was taken care of pretty damn smoothly. Unfortunately, at school, on the other hand, that was a complete and total other different thing. For example, the very next day, back at school, they were basically brought to the principal's office because of Ichigo and Izuku's actions, alongside that of, Keigo and Mizuhito being caught in camera too, as well. With that of their gym teacher basically suggesting punishment for all of them being involved, including that of Chad, Tatsuki, and also that of Otohime alongside Rukia too, because they were all there and they did nothing to stop them. So basically guilty by association. Thankfully enough, Rukia was able to basically create that of a sob story, throwing, Ichigo and Izuku under the bus in the process to basically allow everybody to escape after all. At the exact same time, Izuku, Ichigo, and Rukia were given that of a call about that of a hollow in a nearby area, which Izuku, unfortunately, didn't bring Kon along, since he's basically stuck at home, is forced to basically drag his body around after all to keep it safe. However, as soon as they arrive, they found out that the hollow is already taken care of, and that the spirit, trembling in fear from almost being attacked by the hollow, isn't giving them any proper information, as they just said that the hollow was right in front of them before being destroyed seconds after, but that's it. They don't know who did it. With Izuku mentioning that maybe another Soul Reaper took care of it. After all, given what happened with the other Soul Reaper, maybe some already figured out about the situation here in Katakura Town. With Rukia basically saying that's impossible, given that Soul Reapers are basically limited here in the world of the living. So they're far more spread out across the world than people think. Even a branch in that of, the UK is limited when it comes to Soul Reapers too. Which surprised Rukia brought that up, which caused Izuku to be a little bit more curious, but deciding to put that aside. However, at the same time, he can't help but think about looking up for a bit, with Ichigo asking, "Hey, Izuku, you okay?" With looking at his twin brother saying, "Yeah, just felt something, that's all." Within Rukia saying, "A hollow? Nah, just felt weird, that to be honest." Within, that's when all three of them move. However, if Izuku just stayed there, just looked a little bit closer, he may have noticed somebody on the top roof, only at least a couple blocks away, as a person with that of a tall figure, but with that of black hair and glasses, but you can't see their face. Back the very next day, back at that of, Katakura High, midterms finally gone by, which means time to see who everybody ranked. Of course, Keigo and that of Mizuhito basically being pretty low in their grade after all. However, Ichigo is basically ranked 23 in the rankings, which basically pissed off Keigo quite a bit. The fact that he always thought that he was a slacker just like him. But of course, Ichigo with a snarky comment basically saying that he's not an idiot like Keigo and Mizuhito after all. So he shouldn't have to care about that of Keigo's standards, to be honest. Keigo feeling, however, the fact that he also tried to look at that of Chad's and think that Chad wouldn't be as high. However, when he looks at that of Chad's, turns out he's basically ranked, ninth in that of, their grade. And not just him, Izuku is ranked number 5, which of course Izuku always studies, to be honest. Which once again dejects Keigo to the point that he and Mizuhito basically run off feeling and basically refuse to be around that of geeks and brainiacs as they soon as they blitz down the hallways. With then Izuku couldn't help but say, they're always like this, you know? With Chad saying, it's what makes them who they are. With even Rukia kind of shocked the fact that Ichigo is quite high in the rankings too. With then Izuku saying, okay, that's enough. The reason why Ichigo was basically does work so hard is because of, his appearance. But then everybody began getting quiet is because, of course, even though Izuku and Ichigo are twin brothers, they don't look alike. Especially given the fact that Ichigo has orange hair and Izuku has black hair. The fact that also Izuku is pretty shorter than Ichigo, and Ichigo's pretty damn tall. And also the fact that he's that he's always picking fights with people, and Izuku's considered a model student. Because of this, a lot of rumors even basically go around the fact that the two of them aren't really brothers, but adopted at some point. Even to the point that still some people, even to this day, believe Ichigo's natural orange hair isn't his and has actually died. Even though he's been at this school for almost a few months now, Ichigo still has to make it seem like he's the perfect studious student after all, not wanting to cause any trouble for Izuku and also his family. With Ichigo a little annoyed that he's still the center of attention and try to mix it off to somebody who got that at first place, especially as the person who got first place is Uryu Ishida. However, Ichigo can't say his last name, with Izuku having to be the one saying, that's Ishida. With then realizing, oh yeah, Uryu Ishida. I forgot that he's also here in Katakura's High as well. With then Ichigo, a little confused, saying, you know this guy? With then Izuku blinking multiple times, saying, you're joking, right, Ichigo? With Ichigo a little bit confused, as Izuku was about to say something, Orihime saying, Ichigo, don't you know that Uryu's in the same class as us? With Ichigo a little bit shocked by that, before Tatsuki basically saying that Ichigo is pretty bad when it comes to people. You tell him one thing about somebody, he forgets them the very next day. With Izuku not really saying anything, but mentally somewhat agreeing with that of their childhood best friend after all. With Ichigo being annoyed, basically being, insulted by Tatsuki, before then Tatsuki agreeing and deciding to get away from that of the two, around the two brothers and Rukia, by dragging Orihime with her. However, at the same time, they caught up with that of, Chad, Keigo, and Mizuhito, with Keigo explaining that Chad will basically tutor them from now on, and with Chad saying that it's no problem doing so. However, at the same time, that's when Rukia's phone begins to get an alert, as that alert being for another hollow, with grabbing that of Ichigo and basically dragging him out. However, Izuku following after them, of course, wanting to keep an eye on things, especially the fact since they don't have Cone right now and needs to probably keep an eye on his body. However, as the three basically run through the halls however, Ichigo nearly ran into that of somebody, with Izuku basically moving over, as Ichigo saying, sorry about that, with Izuku bowing, saying, sorry Ishida, but we're in a bit of a hurry. However, the one known as Ishida, or rather Uryu Ishida, didn't say anything, as they soon basically head to the location. However, there wasn't a hollow, and the spirit basically is gone too, but not harmed though. And then Rukia gets another alert and another, but once again, as each hollow and location where the hollow is supposed to be is gone, as it's basically now later on in the night with Izuku carrying that of Ichigo's body and kind of annoyed at the fact that every time that there's supposed to be a hollow, it seems like they're not. Plus, there's also the fact that the two are basically about to freaking argue right now, and which Izuku is not in the mood for that, right? To be honest, before then, somebody spoke up saying, you three bickering in the middle of the night? But then, all three of them stopped as they look at the new arrival, with the three, as Ichigo and Rukia, not knowing who the guy is. However, Izuku's aware, within the guy saying, very unprofessional of all of you, as getting a look at the figure who's basically wearing all white. However, he soon says their names. Good evening, Ichigo, Izuku, Rukia. Within, Ichigo saying, hey, I know you. You're the guy from the hallway. Within, Izuku saying, seriously, Ichigo? That's Uryu Ishida. Saying, huh? Within saying, of course you would know me, but of course your twin brother wouldn't. Within, Ichigo getting annoyed saying, seriously, why is everybody annoyed at the fact that I can't remember people's names and faces? For then saying, Ichigo Kurosaki, Izuku Kurosaki, you both are aware of spirits, are you not? Within, as the two basically heard that, before then, Ichigo basically brushes it aside that they don't believe in spirits, with even Izuku saying, spirits don't exist, or rather, even if we did, you think anybody would believe us? With Uryu basically smirking, saying, you both are horrible liars. The fact that you both deflected it quite easily, but yet Rukia Kuchiki doesn't say anything else about it. Within, both boys look at that of the short, black-haired girl. Within, saying, figures, which always knew, since you are a soul reaper, Ichigo. Within, both boys' eyes whining alongside Rukia. Within saying, there's going to be a hollow appearing, at least that of 3 blocks away. Within, hearing that, Izuku wanted to ask how he, before or soon, without warning, he was able to sense it saying, yeah, he's right. It is. With even Rukia trying to confirm it too, realizing it just appeared. I just got the notification just now. How did you two? But then saying, I'm guessing you are now able to sense them now. And given you that your Ryatsu is a lot more higher than usual. Izuku. Within, Ichigo saying, hey, I can't sense anything. Within saying, figures. With soon, Ichigo saying, you want to say that again? However, as soon as he raises his left hand, you could see that of a cross-like object on his wrist. Before then, something begins to materialize from that cross, as even Izuku couldn't help but basically feel something coming from the cross too, as it materializes into that of a blue-like energy bow, which catches all of them completely and utterly off guard. With then, for some reason, a sharp pain happens in Izuku's head, as he just doesn't know reason why. Before soon raising up the hand with the bow in it, before then pulling it back and soon sending that of an arrow made out of energy. As soon the hollow appears before taking it out, which causing both Izuku and Rukia to gasp, saying, "He already took care of it." Within, Uryu basically saying, allow me to truly introduce myself. My name is Uryu Ishida, and I am a Quincy. Within, hearing this, all of them were wondering what was a Quincy before pointing at Ichigo saying, and Soul Reapers are my enemy. Remember this, Ichigo Kurosaki. Which then, after at least a few days, it just leaves everyone completely wondering what the hell just happened. With Rukia trying to gather information on what the heck Quincy's are, leaving both Izuku and Ichigo wondering on having to get their own information, mainly going to the source. As then Ichigo and Izuku wondering where Uryu is. Mainly, Ichigo keeps forgetting Uryu's last name being Ishida, and Izuku having to remind him to the point that they now wonder on where he is, as he isn't in their classroom right now. Before then, Odahime basically came behind the two, as bringing the fact that the two brought up that of Uryu after all, with even saying that Uryu has a cool name, not wanting to drag Odahime into this. The two basically agree that Uryu does have a cool name, after all. Uryu Ishida. With even making weird poses, with basically pointing their fingers up into the air and, well, basically cheesing like crazy. With Odahime explaining that Uryu is part of that of the home, craft club. Leaving the two kind of shocked, as they kind of expected somebody like him, even though that they're all first years, to be part of the student council, not that of a crafting club. Thankfully enough, their homeroom class acts as that of the home crafting club's, meeting room actually, with seeing Uryu basically stitch up that of a, student's, plushie after all. However, right after basically fixing up with her thanking him, he basically saying, "You disgust me, don't talk to me ever again." Leaving everybody kind of shocked and wondering why the hell would he say something that hurtful after all, after just helping her. Making Izuku narrow his eyes a bit, wondering just who is the real Uryu Ishida after all. With now clubs coming to the end, and Izuku and Ichigo basically began to follow after him. And also, thankfully enough, Izuku reminded that of, Ichigo to bring that of Kon along, so he can basically get his body, and Izuku doesn't have to basically carry him around. With Ichigo annoyed at the fact that having to be reminded about that, but of course he still did it. He still made sure to bring him along anyway. And also made sure to keep his mouth shut and closed so he didn't have to deal with Kon being a perv. However, after following him for at least a good few minutes, that's when Uryu basically caught the two, asking him if they plan on following him all the way back home. Within, the two couldn't help but ask how long did they know that they were following him. However, as he basically said that he knew that they were following him from the moment during out of the classroom after all. Given that, Ichigo's spiritual pressure is what is basically just going off everywhere. Not to mention, Izuku's, even though it's not a lot, it's basically, it almost seems like he's basically like a small valve. His spiritual pressure is dripping, leaking, to be honest. Basically, hard to detect if you're basically focused enough to notice him, which makes even Izuku caught off guard by that, as he knew he had that of a high spiritual pressure, just like Ichigo, and even somebody like Karin too, like your little sister Karin, who also has, able to sense that of, spirits and hollows. However, Uryu couldn't help but have that of a comment towards Ichigo, saying that his spiritual pressure is so leaky to the point that even a monkey would notice, which causing Ichigo to lose his temper, with even Uryu basically saying that Ichigo is basically a novice at all of this. And not to mention Izuku basically just following around like a novice as well. The fact that the point is that the two of them even acknowledged him, and the fact that Uryu knew that the two had that of huge amounts of spiritual pressure. He was able to sense him since the first day that they came to Karakura High School after all. And the only reason that they're just aware of him now is because Ichigo becoming a Soul Reaper. Even bringing the fact that since Ichigo gained Soul Reaper powers, it had to be from that of Rukia, which makes her the real Soul Reaper. Catching the two off guard, before then saying, I knew it since the two of you are just staying quiet now. And the proof basically says it through that of your spiritual pressure and your Reiatsu. With that, and another way, as soon white lights, strips begin to come out of the ground around Uryu, as these being his spirit ribbons. Before then, heading towards Ichigo and grabbing his spirit ribbons too, as his spirit ribbons being red, the sign of a Soul Reaper. With even to the point, Izuku had to comment saying, okay, you made your point. You figured out that Ichigo recently became a Soul Reaper, and the fact that you knew about that our spiritual pressures since the beginning of school. What's the difference? We're all basically aiming to take down the same enemies, the same hollows that keep on hurting spirits and even living people. We shouldn't have to be enemies. But then, Uryu saying, shouldn't have to be enemies? The way you say that proves that you know nothing, Izuku Kurosaki. And if you don't know anything, of course your brother wouldn't know a damn thing either. With that, catching both brothers off guard and angry, before then saying, so how about this? We settle this with a duel. And with this duel, it will prove to me and even that of the world that the world of the living doesn't need Soul Reapers at all. Which catching the two completely off guard. Before Ichigo could say anything, that's when Izuku's saying, okay, enough. Uryu, stop this. With then, Ichigo realizing what Izuku's trying to do, saying, you know what? Izuku's right. We need to stop this. And don't be... And like hell, I would basically fight you over something so freaking ridiculous. But then, Uryu hearing that, saying, oh, I see. Are you afraid? But then, Ichigo showing a lot more self-control than usual, basically the saying that he knows that he's trying to play him and even tick him off after all. He has no interest or nothing to prove, especially the fact that he doesn't know what Quincy's really are, and also he doesn't know the reason why he hates Soul Reapers so much. If he at least explained, he can at least try and understand everything. Showing that Ichigo is trying to show more diplomacy instead of just act first without thinking. With Izuku smiling at his twin brother before Ichigo basically sent all of that goodwill out of the door, saying, besides, I would mop the floor with you if I wanted to. With then Izuku saying, Ichigo, you were doing so good. Why? With Uryu saying, oh, I see. I guess it makes sense. You wouldn't be afraid. However, I forgot. Rukia's the real Soul Reaper. You're nothing but a substitute Soul Reaper, which means you need her permission to fight me after all. But then, Izuku hearing that, and alongside that of Ichigo, is he can't help but have that of a tick mark, as that actually did bruise his ego, with Izuku saying, Ichigo, no, don't. He's actually baiting. Within, not even caring what his twin has to say, saying, all right then, if it's a duel what you want, then a duel's about what you're gonna get. Before then, dropping, as he pulls Cone out of his bag, before dropping it to the ground. And then, grabbing that of Cone's soul and putting it in his body. As soon Ichigo gets into that of his Soul Reaper body. With Cone now in control of Ichigo's body, with then Ichigo saying, Cone, Izuku, stay back. don't want to get you too caught in the crossfire after all. With then Gon saying, hey, you don't need to tell me twice. With Izuku saying, Ichigo, I told you, we don't need to. With then saying, yeah, but that's where you're wrong, Izuku. Even though I don't see him as an enemy, he is still such an annoying asshole that needs a beating, that's for damn sure. And that's exactly what I'm gonna give him. But don't worry, I won't give him too many stitches in the process. Within, Izuku a little annoyed at this, saying, and the fact that that his and our dad are basically, well, somewhat co-workers or acquaintances, after all. This is gonna be annoying to basically explain to Dad and Mr. Ishida as well, as Ichigo and Uryu are about to begin their little battle. Before, as they get ready, within, he pulls something from that of his back pocket, with Ichigo asking, what is that? Saying, just a little bit of bait, used to basically gather that of hollows. Instead of us fighting one-on-one, how about we make this that of a competition to see on how many hollows we can take out? But then, Izuku hearing this, before coming to the realization, saying, no, Uryu, don't do that! If you draw hollows to the town, what would happen if you guys miss them? With then, Ichigo saying, Izuku's right, what the hell you think you're doing? As the two not acting, not wanting to basically provoke him just yet. Of course, wanting to make sure to get that bait before. However, Uryu basically smirks before crushing it and scattering it all across the area, which scatters all across Karakura town, with leaving the two brothers completely and utterly shocked, with Ichigo basically blitzing towards Uryu, grabbing him by that of his collar, saying, what the hell do you think you're doing? With Uryu not even phased, saying that he plans on basically taking out all the hollows after all. And surely, he won't let anyone get hurt. With Izuku not even basically angered by this, saying, but you're dragging innocent people into this! All for a freaking hatred for his Soul Reapers? For you, because of my brother and Rukia? With then, looking at that of Izuku saying, you're no different, Izuku. With then, him lighting, saying, even if it wasn't that of Ichigo, what if you got the Soul Reaper powers from that Rukia woman? What if you took it instead? You would be in the same situation. It does not matter to me. All Soul Reapers, even your brother, are all the same. Within, Izuku gritting his teeth saying, you don't even know us. You never even bothered getting to know us. And yet I know it's also hypocritical because we never bother getting to know you. But yet, you're really willing to draw innocent people into a grudge? With even Ichigo grabbing onto that of Uryu's, uniform a lot more tighter, saying, Izuku's right. You're dragging innocent people into something like this. All for what, a grudge? With Uryu a little bit shaken for a bit, but deciding to not even let it faze him, saying, it doesn't matter. I'll prove it that Quincy's can take care of things here more than Soul Reapers. Plus, you should also worry about taking out as many as you can. After all, hollows are attracted to those with high spiritual pressure. Within, Ichigo and Izuku come to this realization about attracted to high spiritual pressure, especially about that of Karin. As the two brothers hear this, with Ichigo letting go of Uryu, and Izuku worried about his little sister and even about Yuzu as well. However, while Ichigo still thinks about that of his sisters, Izuku begins to think about Orihime, Chad, and possibly even Tatsuki as well. With then, Izuku basically couldn't help but freak out, telling Ichigo about that if their friends are in danger outside of just Karin and Yuzu. With Ichigo hearing that, with even Uryu came to the realization, as he thought that Izuku would be the same as his, twin brother, only focusing on that of his family. With Ichigo realizing this, saying, then what, I can't with then saying, focus on Karen and Yuzu. I'll go and try to see if I can help out the others. Before then looking at Cone saying, Cone, do the same thing. Help me go find the others. Saying, wait, really? As saying, just don't do anything weird if you find Orihime or Tatsuki. Please, this is serious. With then Cone basically saluting saying, right. With then, as the two basically split off, alongside that of Ichigo, but then Uryu could help but basically smirk saying, I thought for sure that they would let their emotions cloud them. Surely their emotions are still clouding their judgment, but instead they're letting their emotions basically guide their purpose, coordinating with each other to basically make up for their weaknesses. If I'm not gonna lie, I would be impressed if they weren't supportive of Soul Reapers. With Uryu preparing his bow and then shooting down several hollows that already began to appear across that of Katakura Town. Before then, soon, Uryu also say, however, you forgot one person in that situation, Izuku, and that is yourself. And that's exactly what Uryu is right about. Izuku forgot about himself, who was also radiating a huge amounts of spiritual pressure. And also, not only that, currently right now, while Izuku was trying to look around for that of Orihime, Tatsuki, and Chad, he's starting to feel a little bit frustrated. If only he had power himself. If only maybe he had power if he was the one chosen for that of Rukia. If Rukia gave her Soul Reaper powers to him instead. Before then, shaking his head, saying, no, I can't think like that. That situation was bad no matter what. It didn't matter if it was me or Ichigo. Our family needed us. Our sisters needed us. Just as all of our friends need us right now. I just don't get it. Why do Uryu hate Soul Reapers so much? To drag so many innocent people in this goddamn game. As well, Izuku was basically thinking this. A voice saying, if only you knew. Within, hearing, as for some reason, causing Izuku to basically, jump out of his skin for a bit. However, as soon as he jumped, he basically dodged a hollow that was basically about to come down onto him. As looking behind him, utterly shocked and terrified, the fact that he nearly got devoured by a hollow, being distracted in his own thoughts. Before, as the hollow, beginning to recover, lunges back at that of Izuku. However, that's when it was soon struck down by that of a blast of Reishi, being from Uryu. Within realizing he could still sense them this far, and I should have been able to sense that too. Then realizing I'm so goddamn distracted, I can't think straight. Before then, he can't help but basically clench his fist, feeling mentally frustrated, saying, damn it, damn it, damn it. Before then, a voice going, you truly do want power, right? With saying, that voice again. Is then more and more hollows begin to appear around that of Izuku, saying, of course I want power. I want the same power as Ichigo's. I want the same power as Uryu's. I want the power to protect everybody. Not just my family, but also my friends. All the innocent people of Katakura Town. Tell me, is that just so wrong to ask for? As he yells this to the heavens, as a burst of energy, a spiritual pressure coming from that of Izuku, as it acts as both as a beacon, but also as a wave of pressure, off knocking back a few of the hollows that are about to pounce on him. As then, looking at one of the hollows with just pure and utter rage and anger, and something materializes onto that of his right hand, as it looks like that of a gauntlet. But what really stands out is the fact that the gauntlet also looks like that of a bow at the same time. Blue-greenish energy, as Izuku sends that of a a straight, powerful haymaker fist straight at that of the hollow. At the same time, it soon sends that of a piercing, powerful blast of Reishi, as it also kind of destroys the street that he was on as well, with even the, well, shockwave alone from that of the blast also wipes out that of the remaining hollows around. Within, Izuku basically catching his breath, trying to breathe, before realizing, wait, did I just? Before then, looking at that of his right arm, seeing that of the weird gauntlet bow-like hybrid, saying, wait, did I create this? But I didn't, I thought, within realizing, did I have powers like this before? If that's the case, then why now? Before then thinking, wait, this looks like a bow, like what Uryu has, but different. How am I? Before soon deciding to shake his head, saying, now's not the time to think that over right now. I have to find them. The others. Before trying to think, however, he begins to sense a lot of Reiatsu, a huge amount of spiritual pressure from other places, as he can sense one close around that of the area where the park is, while some in that of near, well, the clinic, near that of their house and clinic, not to mention one pressure that's trying to be suppressive, but still a huge amount being possibly around his area, which is most likely he thinks is Uryu. But the closest one, actually two closest ones, being at that of Katakura High, which he's the closest at, saying, there, I had to go there. There's a chance that it might be Tatsuki and Orihime. Not caring, as he runs to where the two, well, spiritual pressure are, but saying, I have to protect them. Protect everybody, no matter what. I don't care what this power is. As long as I can use it to protect everybody, that's all that matters. However, if only Izuku knew, he was actually moving a lot more faster than he originally was a little while ago. However, if he also knew, deep down within his soul, two entities are at war with each other, or rather debating with each other. Smugly can't help but say that he accepted way easier than he expected, while the other saying that if he only had a stronger connection, he would have taken his opportunity as well. I guess he just has to wait until he can get his chance to offer his power as well. As only time will tell who these two entities even are. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Love to hear them. And also, sorry about the noise in the background. It's mainly because it's raining right now, and midway while recording, it ended up started thunderstorming where I'm at. So yeah, hope you guys can hear me, and I hope it's not too distracting. So yeah, anyway, Izuku now has his powers. However, it's not truly his Quincy powers. It's actually his Fullbringer powers, just awakened as a catalyst for just stepping in a bit of his Quincy abilities. That's all. As for his Soul Reaper abilities, well, again, you guys just gonna have to wait until he awakens them. And like I said, this may be the last time I basically post this what if as a, well, birthday special. And might just make it a day of the day what if after all. So yeah. Anyway, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification to keep to date my videos upload to the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, my gaming channel, my other channel, my side channel, my Patreon, and my Cash App. All link in the description below. And if you guys have that of a what if one shot you want me to do on that of the channel, don't forget to basically donate for that of a super thanks to that of $4.99 or more, and I'll do a what if of your choice. So with all that said, this is Leon Mookie signing out. Later guys, and hope you all take care. Thank you so much for watching and staying to the end of the video.
But there's still so much on my love channel.
That's right, such as my other What If content and the most recent What Ifs as well.
Not to mention his playlist, where you can watch all of his other What Ifs.
Which, all said and done, this is Leon.
And Shiro.
And you're watching Leon Mookie.